on CVM TV.
And that's a go for what's a go on?
Tonight, we begin with a question that has followed Jamaica for decades. Should the country's highest court be located thousands of miles away in London? Or should Jamaica's final court of appeal be in the Caribbean? Justice and Constitutional Affairs Minister Delroy Chuck is once again urging parliamentarians to support the move away from the Privy Council and toward the Caribbean Court of Justice. The call comes as the country's broader transition to a republic remains stalled, with many now asking whether Jamaica can truly complete its constitutional journey without also completing its judicial independence. Then later, the biggest World Cup in history is officially underway. 48 teams, 3 host nations, 104 matches in a tournament that could change international football forever. Mexico has already opened its campaign with a win over South Africa in a match that was already made World Cup history. I'm Tyrone Reed, sitting in for Jody and Quarry, and this is Lead Story. For more than 6 decades after independence, Jamaica's final court of appeal has remained outside its borders. While Jamaica has its own courts, the last stop for many legal matters remains the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council in the UK. This week, Justice Minister Delroy Chuck renewed calls for that to change. During his sectoral debate presentation, the minister urged members of parliament to support the move to have Jamaica's final appellate court located within the region through the Caribbean Court of Justice. The issue is not new. Supporters of the CCJ argue that it represents a natural step in Jamaica's constitutional development, strengthens regional independence, and provides greater access to justice. Critics, however, have raised concerns about public trust, political influence, and whether the court has earned the confidence of all Jamaicans. The debate also comes as the government continues to pursue republic status, a process that lost momentum last year after political disagreements over the pace and scope of constitutional reform. Tonight, we ask whether Jamaica is finally ready to take this step. Joining me now are attorneys at law, Lloyd McFarlane and Abel Don Foote. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to Lead Story.
Good evening, Tyrone.
Indeed. And before we go to the conversation, I do believe let's listen to the Justice Minister on his feet in the nation's parliament addressing this issue.
Madam Speaker, the Constitution Amendment Republic Bill 2024 was already tabled to remove the monarch. Once again, Madam Speaker, for Jamaica's sake, let us look at the bill and see how it can be amended if necessary and modified so that this Parliament, at the earliest possible time, can debate and remove the monarch. We need to become a republic. There is no need to delay this process. No need. The final appellate court will come to Jamaica, but it is a matter that we want to take to the people in further constitutional town hall meetings.
Yes.
You see, Madam Speaker, the final appellate court has many possibilities. We can go the route of Hong Kong, where the final appellate court consists of international judges and Hong Kong judges, and they sit as the final appellate court. I don't mind if the final appellate court in Jamaica, that 5 Caribbean court judges sit, but it must be a Jamaican final court. This CCJ, and what is behind it was well put by Serid Ramphal, where he said that the CCJ is the beginning to reintegrate the Caribbean. Is that what we want? We need to discuss it at town hall meetings. Is that what we want? A Caribbean Union? That CARICOM, no problem. But we don't have a Caribbean legal system. And I would like to be able to elaborate on this at town hall meetings. So, Madam Speaker, I urge, and this Parliament must urge and invite the opposition leader to let us restart the constitutional process.
The Justice Minister, Delroy Chuck. Before I bring our guests in, I must say I'm not certain we've characterized the Justice Minister's presentation properly. I'm not certain he's calling for the CCJ to be Jamaica's final appellate court. He's saying we could have judges from the CCJ sit in Jamaica, but it has to be a Jamaican final court. And it's not the first time we're hearing that from members of the Holiness Administration. Let me hear your take on the Justice Minister, Lloyd McFarlane.
The way you actually characterized it at first, because I had not, in fact, heard the minister in the House when he spoke, I was quite surprised. However, hearing him, I am not surprised.
Yes.
Because the problem is, first of all, let me be very clear. I am one of those who has strongly urged that we not only leave the Privy Council, which we should have left a long, long time ago, but that we should ourselves join the appellate jurisdiction of the Caribbean Court of Justice, because we are already a part of its original jurisdiction. We have had cases, the one against the Barbados government with Mary, where they've had to step in. What is more, we are paying for the whole thing. We have been paying for some time for the whole thing. What has held up our actually joining the appellate jurisdiction of the Caribbean Court of Justice is Mr. Chuck's party. Let us be very clear. The JLP has this strong resistance against us being a part of the Caribbean Court of Justice for the very reason he iterated. They don't want this Caribbean unity. As a result of that, we have been left back. And no, every time the leadership of the JLP had been asked, well, why is it that you don't want to go to the Caribbean Court of Justice? They gave what is, in my opinion, mealy-mouthed responses. Then, when Bruce Golding was leader of the party, he comes up with the suggestion that perhaps Jamaica should have its own final court of appeal. I thought at that time that it was really a situation where they just didn't want to admit that they wanted to keep the Privy Council for as long as possible. They're actually comfortable with the Privy Council no matter what he says. The whole idea of Jamaica having its own appellate court in terms of its final court is a good one in terms of the fact that we all would like this. However, we don't have the structures in place, we don't have the resources in place to do so at this time. What has happened is that we have already invested in the Caribbean Court of Justice. The Caribbean Court of Justice works extremely well, and we can't now talk about going to have our own final court of appeal when the fact is we can't properly support our own Supreme Court at this time.
Able on foot.
Personally,
yes,
I'm a big supporter of the Privy Council. That is my
personal position.
And I can tell you why. The Privy Council is and always has been a board of esteemed judges. They are not concerned about anything to do with things unrelated to the case. They look at the facts of the case and they look to see if any legal errors are made, and they are so far removed from anything that they are, in my opinion, incapable of being influenced one way or the other. Now, when you look at the history or the body of cases, which is what we call the jurisprudence, going to the Judicial Committee or the Privy Council, a lot have been overturned. And you would look at, as one prime example that jumps to me, is the landmark case of YP Seaton, right? It's kind of fuzzy in my head, but what happened was that Eagle Merchant Bank was sold to RBTT. The government gave an indemnity in that matter because they wanted to prop up the banking sector to get investors to come in. So RBTT went, acquired the bank, and also was covered by this apparent liability. There was a transaction made by Eagle Merchant Bank, which was wrongly done. YP sued, was successful, and then the issue of the interest came into play. Now, our Court of Appeal made a ruling on the interest, and that ruling was overturned on by the Privy Council. And he was awarded a substantial sum because they said it should have been quantified as compound interest. Now, even though we have, in my estimation, very good judges, right? They're all human beings like everyone else, right? And when you have a system that is not broken, in my opinion, then why change it, right? You're getting a review by the five wise men, right? And when you look at them and they're listening to the arguments and to the evidence, many a times too, their minds are made up before they even hear from the lawyer or the advocate. They will hear from one side and then it says, no need to hear from John Brown because they already know what their decision is because they're looking clinically at the law and errors made. And you could even see that in the cartel case that was successful the other day. So I'm a big supporter of the Privy Council.
But some say we need to break the colonial ties. And the Privy Council represents that able done.
No, I understand that. But the argument that one would try to use to say, okay, you have to get a visa to go to the Privy Council and it's a part of the colonial ties, etc. I understand that argument, but I think it's moot more than anything else because I don't see a world where you have a case in the Privy Council and you inform the embassy that, hey, I have this matter, I've invested so much in these attorneys' fees and it is going for hearing on X date, and you inform them and then they will reject you for your application for a visa. So those arguments I think are moot, and I think the justice of cases requires it.
I see Lord McFarlane wanting to come in, but we're up on a break. Let's take the break right here on Lead Story. We're talking about Jamaica's final appellate court. Should it continue to be the Privy Council in the United Kingdom? Should Jamaica accede to the appellate jurisdiction of the Caribbean Court of Justice, or should Jamaica establish its own final appellate court? We're exploring all the options right here on Lead Story.
Every day starts with care. Care that's always close. Supermed Family of Pharmacies is where you go for everything you need. From your morning routine to life's biggest moments, Supermed Family of Pharmacies is always by your side. Whether it's prescriptions or household essentials, trust the care that's close to home. Super happy, super healthy, Supermed.
For years, Jamaica has been operating at just about 50% of the blood donations needed to meet national demand. That means for every 2 persons who require your blood, only 1 donation is available. And the truth is, many of us only think about donating when there's a tragedy. But hospitals need blood every single day. With a single donation, you can make a big difference. You are somebody's type.
Donating blood is easier than most people think. Once you are 16 years or older, with parental consent at 16, you can donate. 17 to 60, just walk in and register. Up to 65 if you're a regular donor. You will need to present a government-issued ID. If you weigh at least 110 pounds and you're in good health, you're likely eligible. Controlled high blood pressure? That's okay. Diabetic but not on insulin? That's okay too. Tattoos or piercings older than 6 months? You can donate. We'll do a quick check of your hemoglobin level. If it's 12.5 or above, you're good to go. You will also have a short conversation with one of our medical professionals just to ensure that donation is safe for you. The actual donation takes about 8 to 15 minutes. That's less time than taking a lunch break. Less time than scrolling your phone. Your body replaces the volume within 24 hours. Red blood cells take about 6 weeks. That's why you can donate every 3 months. We will help you to rehydrate before you leave. Just remember, eat before you come and drink plenty of fluids. Every donation can help up to 3 persons. They may never know your name, but they will live because you showed up. Because somewhere today, you are somebody's type.
When we give a little, we make a big difference. A mother after childbirth, a child with sickle cell disease, a patient undergoing surgery. Right now, donations are at 40 to 50% of what's needed, which means there is room for more of us. It's simple, it's safe, it doesn't take long. If you're able, consider giving. We'll be here to welcome you.
Jamaica's unemployment rate has fallen to 3.3%, down from 13.2% in 2016. Our government's continued focus on job creation is delivering real results. We are building Jamaica. The Time by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Welcome back. This is Lead Story. We have with us in the studio Senior Counsel Lloyd McFarlane, and I'm not certain I can call Abledon a young attorney. He's been standing on his 2 feet for quite some time in the legal profession. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Again, we want to play for you the Minister's comments on the final appellate court in Jamaica that he made in Parliament during the sectoral debate. Let's listen to the Minister again.
Madam Speaker, the Constitution Amendment Republic Bill 2024 was already tabled to remove the monarch. Once again, Madam Speaker, for Jamaica's sake, let us look at the bill and see how it can be amended if necessary and modified so that this Parliament, at the earliest possible time, can debate and remove the monarch. We need to become a republic. There is no need to delay this process. The final appellate court will come to Jamaica, but it is a matter that we want to take to the people in further constitutional town hall meetings.
Yes.
You see, Madam Speaker, the final appellate court has many possibilities. We can go the route of Hong Kong, where the final appellate court consists of international judges and Hong Kong judges, and they sit as their final appellate court. I don't mind if the final appellate court in Jamaica, that 5 Caribbean court judges sit, but it must be a Jamaican final court. Yes. This CCJ and what is behind it was well put by Sherrod Ramphal, where he said that the CCJ is the beginning to reintegrate the Caribbean. Is that what we want? We need to discuss it at town hall meetings. Is that what we want? A Caribbean Union? That CARICOM, no problem. But we don't have a Caribbean legal system. And I would like to be able to elaborate on this at town hall meetings. So, Madam Speaker, I urge, and this Parliament must urge and invite the opposition leader to let us restart the constitutional process.
The voice here of the country's Justice Minister, Delroy Chuck, on his feet in Parliament, making an impassioned plea to the opposition to join the government in restarting the constitutional push to becoming a republic. And again, just to say, definitely the Justice Minister not saying, and we apologize for that, that Jamaica should move towards the CCJ. But Lloyd McFarlane, before the break, you wanted to come in, but we're hearing from the Justice Minister what, in my opinion, seems to be a more nuanced take from the government benches. He's saying 5 CCJ judges could sit, but as a Jamaican final court. So he's saying, not saying no to CCJ judges, but he's saying it has to be Jamaican.
You call it nuance. The minister doesn't know what he's talking about. He hasn't thought through what he's saying. But before I take that, I want to deal with some of the things that my learned friend, Abel Don, has said, because I'm not sure where to start. I haven't come across too many persons who actually directly support the Privy Council. So I have to step back a bit to point out the following. Firstly, when our founding fathers, Manley, Norman Manley, etc., were drawing up the 62 Constitution, they very deliberately ensured that when it came to removing the Privy Council as our final court, the level of entrenchment was not deep. The whole idea was that we should be able to do it easily and quickly, because the expectation was that as Jamaica matured, we would be able to move outside of the regime of our colonial masters in terms of a final court and work towards our own, whether it be the Jamaican final court or the Caribbean Court of, well, it was originally called the Caribbean Court of Appeal, now the Caribbean Court of Justice. What has happened since that time, of course, is that we have found that the Privy Council has become more and more remote in terms of a true understanding of what is happening in the Caribbean, because we have been our own people for some time now. To put it more simply, we have developed our own level of jurisprudence. We have had a lot of statutes put in, when originally the Privy Council was more important because we were more common law in our approach to jurisprudence. What has happened now is that the Privy Council is very remote, and really, even in the cartel judgment that my learned friend mentioned, you will note when you read it that at one section they said, we are not going to deal with that point because it was not raised in the Court of Appeal and the Jamaican judges did not discuss it. In other words, they were not comfortable in dealing with something without being guided by the local courts. They're not comfortable because they're too far away. What has happened since that time? They're too far away. What has happened since that time? They don't understand all the local, what you like to call nuances. What has happened since that time is that the United Kingdom has moved on. The United Kingdom now has its own Supreme Court. The United Kingdom wants to get rid of all the colonial vestiges, those countries hanging on to it. And so when the first president of the UK Supreme Court came in, what was his name, Reid, whatever it was, he made a public statement indicating that he really wanted us to leave. We still hang on. And of course, the last president tried to placate
right,
things
which is what I was going to say to you. The last president did say...
Yeah, but the real position was the one taken, because it is understandable.
So this new president, that's not a real position?
No, because they've set up their own court. Remember, please understand, the Privy Council advised the king or the queen. It was set up by that royal position. That is no longer the position in England.
but here's the issue, though. The opposition, and I hear you hitting at the government, but the opposition has taken the position, and I'd love to hear Abledon on this as well, that it's CCJ or bust for this Republic push. So if you don't agree to make the CCJ the country's final appellate court, we are not going to basically give any support to the... Let me hear Abledon on this first, Mr. McFarlane. We are not going to lend or support to the push to become a Republican, to remove the king as the head of state, Britain's king as head of state. Is that a reasonable position?
So, let me start by first saying Jamaica has always been and still is the pearl of the Caribbean. We have the most influence regionally out of all the territories involved in the CCJ. So it is not far-fetched to believe that a Jamaican judge is posturing on a matter. Others will follow. That's not far-fetched at all. And it goes back to the original point I was making, that it is best for independence and impartiality for persons so far removed from the issues at bar to preside on them, because it is
justice truly being blind.
Precisely. Justice truly being blind is not a matter of emotions. If I can borrow the words of the current Honorable Chief Justice, he said law doesn't have anything to do with emotions. And the reality is, us being such a small nation, the judges are really aware of the day-to-day operations of the country, right? Now, when I go back to the original case I was talking about earlier, which is the YP Seaton case, an argument made, I believe, at the Court of Appeal level, was the fact that if they paid YP all this money, the church, the teachers couldn't get any money, and the nurses, etc., right? That is something unrelated to the actual issues and precepts in the case. So that wasn't a purely legal argument that was being urged on our bench, which was accepted, and it was ultimately overturned at the Privy Council level.
And rightly.
Rightly so, because they're looking at it and they're looking at the letter of the law.
Do you think a Jamaican final appellate court would do well?
No. For the very reason of what I'm raising now.
Do you think a final appellate court in Jamaica would do well?
It could in the end, but let's go back to one of the points you were making, and one of the points that Abledon was making. You see, you're forgetting that the CCJ is in fact sufficiently away from the local experience of Jamaica to work its judges from all around. And what you must bear in mind is that after 10 years, after it has been in for some time now, after 10 years, Dr. Lloyd Barnett did a lot of research and presented a paper at a seminar for lawyers in which he went through the cases of the CCJ carefully. I remember I was there because it was a continuing legal education thing, and found that the CCJ really had shown quality in their judgments.
And I'm not so certain that anyone is necessarily debating that as a serious argument. But is the CCJ the only option? And I think that's the position the opposition has taken. And it's not entirely reasonable.
You're not
is the CCJ the only option? No, but that is the question I'm putting to you. No, the opposition position is quite clear. It's not left up to interpretation. No, hold on. The opposition has clearly said it's CCJ or bust. I'm not trying to interpret it. That's what they've said.
Let me deal with it then. Here's the position. You have to remember that what was happening at the time was we were supposed to be having constitutional reform led by the then Minister for Constitutional Reform. We had gone through all of that. And then all of a sudden we realized that all the minister wanted was to have the monarchy removed. What the opposition said at the time was, you can't do that and keep the Privy Council because they're one and the same thing.
No, that's not all they've said.
I'm not asking you
and
that.
I'm not asking either. I've been covering this as well.
All
the
right.
opposition has insisted that it has to be the CCJ.
The opposition has insisted that they will not remove the monarchy without you dealing with the Caribbean Court of Justice. There's a difference.
How do you see it, my learned friend?
I think we should make the status quo remain. I think there is sufficient proof of this to be so. I think when you look at law is just like business, right? R&D is everything. Research, research, research. Our entire learning here in Jamaica has been based on the UK law. The judges that preside over cases in Jamaica, when they were at law school, what did they learn? UK law.
We're going to have to bring you gentlemen back. I'm being told that I've gone way over time.
Right, but so I'm in good support of the
all
council.
So we had there the eminent counsel, Lloyd McFarlane, Abaddon, for discussing this matter as to whether Jamaica should move to the CCJ as its final appellate court or remain with the Privy Council or its final appellate court right here in Jamaica. This is Lead Story. We take a break right here and come back with more.
Make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is 6.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
It's finally here. It's new. Yo, I'm hungry. Man, go get Popeyes.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Popeyes have this new barbecue chicken sandwich there. Crispy barbecue chicken breast fillet, crunchy pickles, and Popeyes signature sauce. And the buns, buttery brioche. Oh my god, water.
It's new. Popeyes chicken sandwich with barbecue. Well, delicious barbecue right through. It's finally here. Popeyes barbecue chicken sandwich available everywhere. Popeyes has the new barbecue chicken sandwich.
Barbecue with a attitude.
Love that.
Welcome back. This is Lead Story. I'm Tyrone Reed. Now, the wait is over. The 2026 FIFA World Cup has officially begun, the greatest sporting spectacle on the planet. And this year's tournament is unlike anything football has ever seen. For the first time in history, the World Cup features 48 teams instead of 32. For the first time also, 3 countries, the United States, Canada, and Mexico, are co-hosting the competition. And for the first time as well, fans will witness a staggering 104 matches over 39 days. The tournament opened today at the iconic Estadio Azteca, one of football's most historic venues, high altitude as well. Before kickoff, fans were treated to a spectacular opening ceremony, but once the entertainment ended, history began. Host nation Mexico defeated South Africa 2-0 in the opening Group A encounter. Julian Quinones opened the scoring in the 8th minute before Raul Jimenez added a second-half goal to seal the victory. The match also entered the record books for another reason. 3 red cards. Not just a set, folks. 3 red cards were shown, the most ever recorded in a World Cup opening match. We are now being joined by Tyrone Marshall, former Reggae Boy player, and Brent Sancho, former Minister of Sport in the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, as well as sports journalists, yes, the erudite and pulchritudinous Trishana McGowan. Top of the evening to all of you. Welcome to Lead Story.
Thank you so much for having me.
Indeed. Let me begin with you, Trishana McGowan. Your take on the World Cup so far, from the opening ceremony to the first game. Did it deliver or over-deliver or under-deliver for you?
Oh wow! For me, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle, like a true woman. So it didn't over deliver, but it was definitely not underwhelming. The opening sermon was really good. I enjoyed it. See Shakira, J-Lo, Pitbull. It was just the moment. I mean, for it to open in Mexico. And having, them perform, she's really, really a top performer. And that was definitely amazing. As for the match, I thought that was good. Despite the red cards, definitely no surprises there. It's opening match. We're in a different era of football where every player is aware that the spotlight is on us. We have to shine. We want all of it. Mexico, this is their third time hosting a World Cup. This is huge for them. And definitely 2 goals, especially for Raul Jimenez, who I think he's planning to retire and scoring at home where his career started. I immediately got goosebumps. So I thought for me the opening match was really good. Did not expect much from South Africa, so no disappointment there. And I did predict a 2-0 win for Mexico, and I'm happy that it followed through.
Fred Sancho, your assessment of the opening ceremony and the opening match as well?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with a lot of what Trishan has said so far. It has been an intriguing encounter. Of course, this World Cup has had a lot behind it in the build-up to it. A lot of controversy, a lot of conversation as regards to the immigration policies, etc. Easily probably the World Cup that has a lot of conversation off the field, leading the way, and not so much about the superstars that are on the pitch. That being said, the opening match, and normally like most opening matches in the World Cup, it does set the tone and then kind of spearheads the conversation on the pitch. I think Mexico deserved winners at the end, 2-0. South Africa was not only just disappointing, they just never really got out of the blocks. But credit to Mexico. I thought they played and stuck to their game plan very well from minute 1 all the way through. There were moments, however, in the first half where they dipped a bit and you could hear the crowd at the Azteca. Always a difficult place to go and play, whether you're the home team or the away team, turning on them a bit. But nevertheless, they were able to stay the course through. And if you asked any Mexican player or staff member coming into this game what they would want, and they'd just be happy with the result. And that's exactly what they got. It's a perfect start for them in the group settings. And a good start to the World Cup so far.
Tyrone Marshall, I want you to give us your take on the opening ceremony and the opening game as well, but I also want you to comment on whether or not, as you heard there from Sancho, whether or not the issues leading up to the World Cup has, in particular those immigration issues, with one where a referee having to return home to Somalia, have those issues robbed some of the luster from the greatest, the undisputed greatest sporting spectacle on the planet, has it?
Yeah, to start off first, obviously the opening ceremony in Mexico City, obviously the big spectacular event, and to have, big name talent like, Shakira and all those people to start out the tournament. Really good to see. Obviously the FIFA, they're trying to do something different, utilizing the star power that's here in the northern hemisphere, with Mexico, US and Canada. Going back to the game, again, like Brent was mentioned, the Mexicans came out firing all cylinders, to get a 2-0 win, being at home. Obviously at times during the game, they seem a little bit, unshaken and, and in times, they struggled a bit, but overall, they got the result. And going back to the last part of the question where, I think the off the field issues, for example, the referees, being sent back to Somalia, it started to, give the World Cup a little bit of a bad eye, because it's all about, the world inclusive, right? Everyone coming together and enjoy the beautiful game. And to start off having controversy off the pitch is not the way to start. And, I was also, wondering why is it that they couldn't use a referee? And I don't know if I've heard enough about the backstory. Why could he not ref in Mexico or in Canada if he was not allowed to enter the US? I think FIFA could have done, something else to make sure that referee, at least stayed in the tournament. So I need to get a little bit more story on that. But, that would be my take in terms of they could have facilitated the referee, being in the World Cup as opposed to going back home.
An absolutely reasonable question there to ask Tyrone Marshall. I thought of it myself. Why not allow him to stay in the tournament? Brent Sancho, I'd love to hear you on that. Could FIFA have taken that route?
I believe because the match officials have been appointed from before and there are some logistics as it results to it, so to switch out may have been a bit of a challenge. I know they have very strong rules as it regards that, but I think from the human perspective, I agree with Tyrone. I would have liked to see at least something be done, because this is an unnatural and of course a situation that does not arise every day. So maybe it needed a solution that was outside of the norm and what we normally see. So as much as there are rigid rules when it comes to match officials being official appointment, I would have liked to see that. I would have, of course, tried to put a little bit of a damper on what has been a little bit of a sour taste, and as it relates to that, and it's still ongoing.
I'd love to put this to the panel, and I'm beginning with you, Trishana McGowan. Is the United States an ideal place to have a tournament of this nature, given the security measures that it has to put in place, understandably so? Is the U.S. a great place to have a tournament like this?
It's not a great place at the moment because of everything surrounding what's happening there with the non-immigrants, etc. ICE, we're all seeing it. So that should have been a major red flag, I think, for FIFA. Would it have been late for them to move it because of, the bidding already gone through, things that have already been in place? It would have been a tough decision to make. However, I would have been okay with them moving it to another country. But again, would a next country be fully ready within that time frame to host a World Cup of the magnitude? On the other side, what I will say, for me, because I know how big sports is a huge business, and I think, the entire panel can agree to that. So in the sense of USA and football, where it is good for me in the sense of I know players will be eating up re-endorsements. This is where some will get into the market of United States, and it's not always going to be the stars, because the stars doesn't have to do much. The Messi, the CR7, the Kylian Mbappe, they're already known. But what World Cup does, new stars are born, and I think a market is there for them, re-endorsements, and those are major. Because not everyone have the luxurious contracts with Adidas and Nike, and so on and so forth. So I think, the off-the-field issues, of course, it is major. It is major, but I believe that, this is a really great opportunity for them off the field regarding the endorsements in that market.
Indeed, we're trying to dissect the opening day of the greatest sporting spectacle on the planet, the FIFA World Cup. When we come back, we're going to keep our attention on the field. Is VAR going to mar the 2026 World Cup? We'll be back after these.
No, I said, place when you come from, brother, I want to live good, man. I want to live good, bridging. No shake on, I want to play a little ball, bridging.
Really have to shake on?
Yeah, man, and no badness, bridging. Just live good, man.
I make the violence done.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
This week on Farming Forward, we're coming to you from, whoa, look at that. We're coming to you from Riverdale in St. Catherine. And we'll be talking to that young entrepreneur you just saw. He was picking breadfruits, but I can tell you about the chickens that he's been caring for all these years. He'll be talking to us about real yard chickens. Farming forward. We're brought to you by Nutrimix. Tell me, Nutrimix? The big feed. The big feed.
Every dream conquered is another dream game. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction. 'Cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music keeps on playing, and the people that I say we are mash up the dance. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't put it dark. Shine your lights
Welcome back. This is Lead Story. I'm Tyrone Reed, and we're talking about the greatest sporting spectacle on the planet, the FIFA World Cup. The 2026 renewal got underway today. Mexico defeating South Africa by 2-0. 3 red cards in that match, setting a record for the most red cards in an opening game. I'd love to hear you on that, Tyrone Marshall. Were the red cards warranted? That's one, because whenever you hear about 3 red cards, you think the referee is being quite liberal. And of course, this whole impact of VAR on the unbridled joy that is associated with the FIFA World Cup. Will VAR mar the World Cup?
Yeah, I think the red cards were warranted. I think especially the one on Brian Gutierrez. I mean, it's a goal-scoring opportunity that was denied. So yes, and then the VAR, the second one, obviously he's going to be paying close attention to see the extracurricular activities that's going on. And if you look back closely, I know it might seem a little picky. However, if you look closely, the hand did contact the face of the Mexican player. So by the rules, the FIFA laws and rules that, warranted a red card. So yes, it was warranted. Unfortunately, sometimes, it takes a little bit longer when the VAR slows things down and the rhythm of the game is lost. But I think the red cards were warranted on all aspects tonight in the game.
That one with the arm to the face, Sancho, seemed a bit soft.
Well, I think, picking up on what Tyrone said, I think when you look at VAR, it's really brought in to be a safety net, and it's there to increase the amount of right major decisions in the sport. And to do that, you do have to slow things down. And anytime you slow things down in sport, you do see things from a more true perspective. And so when you look at the hand, the frailing hand, it could be deemed that the intention was to inflict more than just an infraction or embracement or contact. So I can see where the referee was going in, particularly when you slow it down and you look at the second frame. I think they showed in the game the hand looked like there was an intention, there was an extension of the hand, and not just a natural hand movement that you would see in a sport. So once you see it from that perspective, it certainly does look like a red card or sending off, of course, offense. And if you think about it, the referee didn't make that call. It's only when the VAR got involved that is when the call was made. So certainly when you see the frame, the second frame in particular that they showed in the replay, I think that the referee didn't have any other choice but to give a red card.
Trishana McGowan, is VAR slowing down the World Cup? Is it robbing the greatest spectacle on the planet in terms of sports of the vibrancy that it's associated with?
I don't think it is, because football lovers will become very much accustomed to VAR. We know the challenges, and we also know that it's men and women behind those computer screens making the decision. What we're hoping for is maybe minimal errors or minimal, decisions that we think that, that wasn't a penalty. It shouldn't have been a penalty. It shouldn't have been a red card for the remainder of the World Cup. But I think for most football fanatics, like myself and the panel who watch football day in, day out, and the various competitions, we have become accustomed to VAR, hoping for a smoother sailing. I think that's all we can hope for. But we have gotten used to it, unfortunately.
And Sancho, there was, I'm being told there was an incident with you at one of these World Cups with a handball.
Yeah, but it didn't have VAR back then, so it didn't help me in any stretch of the imagination. And I'm pretty sure if it did have a draw against England, but look, it is meant to do what it is supposed to do, which is of course clear a bit of doubt that the human eyes can't catch. So. It would take some time. I remember when, of course, a similar situation happened with cricket. It did take some time for it to settle in. And this is similar. As Trishan rightfully said, it's humans behind the computer screen, so they as well have to get used to it and slowing it down. From my perspective, look, I'm just happy that we can get more correct calls in the sport. We've seen so many times where decisions have been made that have certainly caused a game to go in the other direction. So I'm happy from that perspective.
Absolutely, and I guess my issue with that, was it a clear and obvious error? The Mexican player bumped the player before that hand came across. Did that cause any of it? All of that, I think, should have been taken into account, but I can understand the red card being given. The games coming up, Tyrone, Marshall, of course, I think Canada bows into action tomorrow. What can we expect from that game?
Yeah, it's going to be a really exciting game. I'm excited to see Justin Marsh, squad come out on the pitch. The Canadians, I know obviously playing, in front of their home fans, it'd be just like the Mexican. They want to come out, they want to impress, they want to, be on the front foot. And, I think you're going to see a really good performance from them, especially on the counter-pressing element of their game. So, I'm really excited to see the Canadians and how they get out of the gate tomorrow, out of the blocks.
Trisha McGowan, the United States also bows into action tomorrow against Paraguay. How do you see that game going?
I see that finishing in a draw. It can be either a 0-0 draw or a 1-1 draw. But I believe that I wouldn't be surprised if it should finish 0-0. Paraguay, I think, just defensively, based on a few of the matches I've seen, maybe about 4 of their matches that I looked at before the World Cup, I think defensively that's their best bet against, in the group. For U.S., I know they're at home. They will definitely want to be walking away with 3 points, similar to what they saw from the other co-host, Mexico, today. But I'm not sure if they have enough to even score. They're not one of the favorites, and for many reasons. But again, this is why we watch the beautiful game. Based on what we see coming in, we can make our predictions, and then things go left. And I think for US, they will just hope for maybe just even one moment of brilliance to get even one goal to start their campaign. But I would not be surprised, like I said, if it finishes in a draw.
Brent Sancho, of course, Brazil perhaps has as many supporters in the country as it has outside of the country. They are one of the big hitters traditionally. They bow into action on Saturday. What do you expect from the Samba boys?
I think it'll be tough. First game for them against Morocco. They have certainly a program that has been on the up. We've seen their improvement, of course, at the CAF level, where they are easily one of the top 2 teams in Africa continent. And we've seen them in the international level, where they have had some very good results, coming up against a Brazilian team that's seemingly starting to get a bit of the identity that I think they've lacked for a couple of years. They have a very exciting front 3, maybe front 4. A solid midfield where I think Casemiro is playing probably some of the best football he's played for quite some time. And a back 4 that's still finding their own. So it'll be an interesting contest between both teams. Brazil know they need to start off on the right foot. Surprisingly, one of the World Cups that we've seen where Brazil has not been talked about a lot as being a favorite coming in. So maybe playing that second fiddle may help them and take a little bit of the shine that they normally get coming into a World Cup so they can focus on themselves. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens. And Carlo Ancelotti is easily one of the best coaches that ever coached the sport. So I do expect them to do well in this tournament, but we'll see. It's a tough game against the Moroccans.
Well, based on the schedule here, Argentina plays their first game on Tuesday. England takes the field on Wednesday. So let me ask the panelists as we have to close. I think I have about a minute left. At every World Cup, the English say it's coming home. Is there any chance that the game's biggest prize will go home to England? The so-called inventors of the sport, Tyrone Marshall, beginning with you. England has a chance of winning this thing?
I think the English, they do have a potential opportunity to take on the cup. I mean, they have a really good squad and a lot of guys who are coming out for their domestic season who have done really well. And I think they have the depth, and I think depth is going to be a key factor in this World Cup. So yes, I think the English definitely have the opportunity.
Trishana McGowan, do you think it might go home this time?
Well, for my team, when they thought my team would not have won 4 years ago, right? CVM TV, we carried it from the Girl Guides headquarters, and I watched Lionel Messi and Argentina walk away as champions. And I think that this might be a back-to-back title for us. As for England, though, I see them getting to the semifinals, and if they should get that far, it's up from there. I believe the depth of the team is good, but I find them always, working against themselves, and not so much as their opponents being a tougher challenge.
30 seconds to you, Brent Sancho. Thomas Tuchel left some big-name players at home. Do you think the English can do it?
No, not at all. I just think there's too many good teams that are ahead of them. I think the French, the Spanish are very, very good teams individually, very, very well suited.